Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to episode 24 of Young Justice, Performance. We begin this episode in Bruges on December 22nd, where Jack Haly, voiced by Stephen Root, is opening up the latest performance for his International Traveling Circus. This act features the newest members of the circus, a group calling themselves the Daring Dangers. In truth, they're actually members of the Young Justice team that are undercover. More specifically, Robin, Superboy, Miss Martian, Artemis, and Red Arrow are the Young Justice team members that are undercover. After the act finishes up, Robin admits that he's feeling a bit under the weather. Apparently, there's a flu going around that's affecting all of the members of the circus, and Robin caught it not too long ago, apparently. While they're heading backstage, one of the members of the circus, someone named Ray, voiced by Adam Baldwin, wishes luck to the next performers to go up to, perform, and he pats them on the back as a show of good luck. And we do get a flashback that shows us how the Young Justice team went on this particular mission. In the flashback, Robin is telling Superboy, Miss Martian, and Artemis that there's a series of robberies for advanced weapon technology that's been happening across Europe. And all of these robberies happen whenever the International Traveling Circus is in town. And so Robin says that Batman has instructed them to figure out who the culprit behind these robberies are. Red Arrow also volunteers to go on this particular mission. He whispers to Robin that Superboy, Miss Martian, and Artemis are the most likely suspects to be the supposed mole on the team, so he wants to keep an eye on them. Back in the present day, Jack Haly is confronted by King Faraday, voiced by Clancy Brown of Interpol, who wants to talk to him about the latest robbery that happened while the circus was in town, and he doesn't believe in coincidences. Later on, the Young Justice team are outside. They're waiting for the thief to arrive at a certain warehouse, and true enough, they do see the thief entering the warehouse. Superboy puts on one of the shields he acquired from Lex Luthor back in Agendas, so he can have access to Superman's full power set, and then they prepare to confront the thief. And while they're confronting the thief demonstrates not just acrobatic skills, but also fire-breathing skills as well. And eventually, the thief manages to escape with some more stolen technology. And because of the fire that was started in the warehouse, because of the fire-breathing ability, Miss Martian is feeling weakened because Martians have a weakness to intense heat or fire. So the Young Justice team have to withdraw from, or they have to leave as well for Miss Martian's sake to get out of that fire, of course. Plus, fire's harmful to everyone else. But anyway, we're back at the train that the circus members are traveling on. And King Faraday is confronting Jack Haly about the most recent crime that happened. Jack Haly, though, says he did a bed count and everyone was accounted for. But the Young Justice team are having a psychic conversation and saying that Jack is lying because they weren't in bed at that time. And while they're inside, they look over the abilities that the thief demonstrated, but they also notice other abilities based on security cameras from previous robberies as well. And there's a yeah, some of the members of the team are suspecting that Jack Haly may actually be behind the robberies, but Robin is adamant that Jack Haly is not responsible, and he goes outside to cool off a bit, while Superboy in particular confronts Red Arrow about Red Arrow being suspicious about the other three being potential moles. But they're able to calm down or keep things from escalating too far. While Robin is outside, he's looking at a poster of the Flying Graysons. Back when he was younger, he was part of Jack Haly's circus. But then he gets a call on his comm link from Kid Flash, and we see Kid Flash is at Mount Justice. It's December 23rd now, according to the timestamp. And Kid Flash reveals that he knows that Batman didn't actually assign him this mission as Robin claimed. Robin actually took the initiative to take on this particular mission himself. And Kid Flash pieces together it's because of Robin's past with Haly's International Traveling Circus. And Robin admits that he knows someone in the circus is up to no good, but he doesn't think Jack Haly is responsible for it, and he wants to clear Jack Haly's good name. Kid Flash, though, is a little upset that Robin didn't have him, as in Kid Flash, tag along for the mission, but Robin says he didn't want his best friend to question his objectivity because he knows Robin's backstory, but Kid Flash responds that's what best friends are supposed to do. But after the conversation finishes up, everyone is preparing to leave for Geneva, the next stop on the traveling circus, while Miss Martian is going to pick up one of the equipment or luggage for the circus. Her hand briefly touches Ray's hand because they both reach for the same thing, and Ray offers to help her, but she says that the rest of the circus performers need the help more than she does. And when the train starts to leave for Geneva, though, Miss Martian is starting to feel under the weather now, while Robin is just recovering. Robin's worried that maybe he might have given Miss Martian this flu. But then Miss Martian realizes that the team in total figure out that Miss Martian only started to feel under the weather after she got on the train, and right before that she had made brief hand contact with Ray, so they figure that Ray is the one behind, or Ray is the source of the flu, or the flu carrier. And when Robin goes out in the hallway of the train, he runs into Jack Haly, and Jack mentions that, Ray first came on the train, or he joined the circus around the start of the current Europe traveling that they're doing. So the Young Justice team go to Ray's room, but when they leave, we, the audience, see that Jack Haly has transformed into Ray. So in Ray's room, the Young Justice team find evidence that Ray was the one responsible for the robbery that they encountered beforehand, and they find a mask that resembles Ray's face. So they're convinced that Ray is the culprit for the robberies. Unfortunately, Miss Martian still hasn't, she's not able to establish the psychic link because of her feeling under the weather. So they have to use their comm links, and they have to word things very carefully so as to not give away their undercover status to anyone who might be listening to their conversations. Eventually, Superboy does find Ray, who's currently he currently looks like a clown right now, and he finds out that Ray has the stolen equipment hidden in, And Ray reveals he now has Miss Martian's abilities. And eventually the team members confront him on the roof of the train, and they find out that, or Robin figures out that Ray is actually the villain Parasite, a villain who has the ability to absorb the abilities of anyone he makes direct contact with. He's encountered Superman in the past, and well, Parasite does reveal his true form now that the charade is up, or the cat's out of the bag. And Parasite has admitted that he's encountered Martian Manhunter before because he equates Miss Martian's abilities to Martian Manhunter's abilities, and saying that he was pleasantly surprised to have gained access to the abilities of a Martian. And Superboy has one of the shields activated now, and so Parasite goes to absorb Superboy's abilities as well. And because of the fact that Superboy is wearing one of the shields right now, that means Parasite has access to Superman's full power set because Superboy does at that time. Although Superboy passes it off to his teammates that he has the potential for it in his DNA. That's his justification to avoid suspicion. But Parasite has the ability to fly now, so he flies off to Geneva ahead of the train. And Robin, though, reveals he did manage to pickpocket Parasite and took his flash drive. And they find out that, or Robin, yeah, he manages to crack the code of the flash drive and finds out that Parasite is working for Intergain, and the technology he's been stealing is to form a black hole for some reason. And the last of the technology needed is in Geneva. So the team members decide to go ahead and confront Parasite about this. They're going to go ahead of the train as well. And even though Red Arrow insists only he and Robin should go, Artemis points out that she has a backup bow, and Superboy says his powers have recovered. He's got another shield on, but he passes it off as Kryptonians recovering faster. And Miss Martian doesn't want to be left behind either, so they're all going to work together to stop Parasite. So we're in Geneva now, and it's December 24th, Christmas Eve. And Parasite, while he's having a harder time putting together this, or activating the black hole because he doesn't have his flash drive on him, he still manages to eventually get it together. But the Unjustice team members arrive and they do confront him. And it takes a while, but they do manage to pull it off. They're able to distract Parasite long enough so Robin can deactivate the black hole device. And they also realize that while Parasite has gained access to the strengths of those he absorbs the abilities of, he also gains their weaknesses. So they manage to start a fire, and Parasite is weakened by the fire because he has Miss Martian's abilities. After he's defeated, King Faraday arrives, and he has an inhibitor collar that he puts around Parasite to, neutralize his abilities. King Faraday thanks Robin for the heads up, mentioning that Robin had tipped King Faraday off ahead of time, and they were able to get the inhibitor collar ready for Parasite in particular. So later on, we see Robin in his disguise telling Jack Haley that the Daring Dangers need to leave now. And Jack Haley says he has a feeling that the Daring Dangers were what saved the circus. And then he reveals to Robin that he knows who Robin really is. Like, not the Robin identity, but his civilian identity. Jack Haley mentions that he can never forget the performance of a flying Grayson. And he has one last favor to ask of Robin. So we see that this favor is the Daring Dangers are giving a farewell performance. And that's how we end the episode. So this gives us another Robin Spotlight episode. And One could make the argument that this would be the Christmas episode for Young Justice, at least because the end of the episode took place on Christmas Eve, although they didn't really put much focus on Christmas itself. Then again, there have been a couple of other shows where, there have been a couple of other shows where an episode took place on Christmas, but they never really brought attention to the Christmas part of it. So I guess you could make an argument that this was the Christmas episode, but they didn't really put a lot of focus on the Christmas part. And otherwise, this is another mission where Red Arrow is part of the Young Justice team. And oh, that's right, I should mention this. After they defeat Parasite, Red Arrow decides that there isn't a mole on the team, and he finally trusts Superboy, Miss Martian, and Artemis, the most likely suspects of being the mole. So that was some nice character development for Red Arrow, that we got to see how he's lightened up to the members of the Young Justice team that he didn't know all that well. And we did get some focus on Superboy as well, mostly how he keeps using the shields that he got from Lex Luthor. And this episode also kind of helped touch up on Robin's backstory as one of the Flying Graysons before, because that is the first Robin's origins. He was part of the Flying Graysons for Haly Circus before tragedy struck. And it was pretty nice to see that Robin did want to clear the good name of Jack Haley, who was like a father figure to him besides his actual father. And that's something I should mention too. Greg Weisman did reveal why Jack Haley lied to King Faraday about doing the bed check. He said it was just because he was trying to protect the performers of his circus in a fatherly sort of way. So that's for anyone who was curious about that. And King Faraday was actually played by Lex Luthor from the DCAU, or the DC Animated Universe, Clancy Brown. It was kind of surreal, to say the least. And I should mention, I do like Mark Ralston, who voices Lex Luthor here in Young Justice. But yeah, Clancy Brown will kind of always be the Lex Luthor voice I hear whenever I think of the character. But yeah, it was cool to see Clancy Brown play a heroic character, or someone who's on the lawful side, or the side of the good guys. And as for Parasite, yeah, Parasite was a clever idea to be the villain, or it was a clever idea to have Parasite be the villain of the episode, because he can absorb the abilities of whoever he makes physical contact with, and circus performers, and superpowers as well. Now, compared to the DC Animated Universe, this version of Parasite doesn't seem to acquire the memories of the abilities he absorbs. Like, in the DC Animated Universe, he found out Superman's secret identity when he absorbed Superman's abilities, but that didn't seem to be the case here for Parasite with the Young Justice team, but an interesting touch all the same. And with that said, there's only 2 more episodes of Season 1 of Young Justice left, and this was a good way to kind of like, this was a good episode before we get into those next 2 episodes, because they're going to be some heavy hitters. And with that said, we've now discussed episode 24 of Young Justice on this channel. Take care, and until next time.